Is AutoCrit the best editing platform? We're going to find out. Hey everybody, welcome back to Writer Gadgets and Workflow. I'm author K.L. Brady, and I got to tell you guys, I am up at the butt crack of dawn to do this episode because my work schedule is just insane, and I have a book due Sunday, but I'm going to ask to get an extension until Monday. So, so I really wanted to get this this next episode out because it was a direct request from the comment section. Okay. So, and it is one of my favorite editing platforms. So we're going to do the cons, pros, and demos today. And I'm going to dig into what the tool is. Is it the best editing platform out there today? Well, I think by the time we finish this, you'll at least know my opinion on that topic. Okay? Here's the big thing. AutoCrit, right? What is AutoCrit? Okay. I have been using AutoCrit for the last 10 years, I want to say. I mean, for a really, really long time. I have been with the platform since its infancy, really. And have I tried other things? Absolutely. But this is the one that I've stuck with, and we'll get to why shortly. Anyway, so here's my quick take on like what AutoCrit is. So for me, what AutoCrit is, it's an automated tool that really analyzes your manuscript, your script, your story, your term paper, or whatever. But what it does for me is it helps me to see all the flaws or all my little idiosyncrasies that I would read and I wouldn't even catch. Like when I use the same word like 50 times, like when I say in my dialogue too many times. So if you've used things like Grammarly, right? I'll use Grammarly as the example, right? AutoCrit is not a passive editing tool, a self-editing tool, right? That it is a self-editing tool, but it's not passive. Okay, it is not one that's going to be giving you a bunch of recommendations and all you have to do is click and it'll automatically insert the recommendation. That's not the purpose of AutoCrit, okay? What it does for me is it helps me identify my flaws by color coding it. So you run specific checks. It offers a selection of checks. For instance, pacing, cliches, overuse of a particular word or whatever. It runs the checks. It highlights the words in your document. And then you have to actively go through the document, find the things that you want to change and change them. And leave the things that you don't want to change. Okay? So if you're looking for some magic, right? Some magic tool that's gonna just, analyze your documents, fix everything that's wrong, and you're gonna love it at the end of it. You just click a button and it's all gonna be magic and it's all gonna happen. This is not the tool for you, okay? This truly is an active tool where you have to engage. You have to actually read. You have to know your voice. You have to read through the recommendations or the highlights, and you have to decide for yourself whether, hey, this is gonna change the character of my story, or this is gonna change my voice. so I'm not going to make this change because it's going to change my voice, or I'm not going to make this change because it's meant to be colloquial. It's meant to be just kind of common speaking, and it's not meant to be formal. You have to make those decisions, and then go in and make the changes. So my advice to everybody is, like, when you process your document through AutoCrit, that you must have your thesaurus handy, or your, or I use Master Writer. I don't know about you guys, but I love that program. The other great thing, a couple of other great things about AutoCrit. One, when it does this analysis, it's actually analyzing your work against bestsellers in your genre, right? So you choose a genre. So for me, often it's either thrillers or romance, right? So so it will, whatever kind of work I'm doing, it will say, these are the best practices of bestsellers. And then again, it's up to you. So it will point them out for you. It'll color code them for you and make them stand out so that you can see. But it's up to you to make the decisions. And what I really like about it is that it allows you to focus on certain aspects at a time, right? Now, what kind of projects is this good for? Obviously, for me, it's, writing novels, novellas, stories. But could you use it if you're a student? Could you use it if you're a business person? Absolutely, absolutely. But like I said, I think it's kind of geared toward storytellers. Even fiction, nonfiction, doesn't matter, but storytellers. So let me just say this out loud for the people in the back. Just because AutoCrit points something out, it does not mean you have to make changes. It can point something out and you can skip over it. Just, if it's something you don't want to deal with, just skip it. Don't let it, keep you awake at night. One thing I say about AutoCrit is, if you're using it correctly, it's going to help you finish your work. It's not going to stop you from finishing your work, right? Because you know how we authors get, writers get, right? We will use something and we will stew over it and stew over it and stew over it. And it's not meant for that. The tool is to help you finish. It is not meant to stop you from finishing. So if it's stopping you from finishing, then you're not using it right. For me, what it does is it helps me get to a polished product faster, okay? That's the thing. I will say this too. Let me say this again for the people in the back. It is not meant to replace an editor, okay? Even as I speak, my Christmas book is with my editor, and I used AutoCrit. What does it do, Carla? Why do I need to invest in this thing, right? Why do I need to invest my money if I got to go send it to the editor anyway? Well, what it does is it gets your document cleaner, okay? It allows you to provide a cleaner document to your editor, so that then your editor does not have to focus on this, the grind of line editing your stuff. They can really focus on the higher level aspects of your work and make sure that it's, that it reads well, that it's going to be a bestseller, that you've told a really good story in the best way. They can focus on that, and they don't have to focus on whether you've used 35 times on a page. Even when I was with Simon & Schuster, If you talk to my editor today, I think that she would say, you know, Carla KL turned in clean manuscripts. I always turned in clean manuscripts. One of the reasons is because I worked hard, but two is because I use tools like AutoCrit to do very focused editing and to eliminate a lot of those flaws that otherwise I would have submitted. And trust me, it makes for a much cleaner manuscript and a much better read. Okay, now let's get to the cons, pros, and demos, because honestly, I really don't have a super lot, and I do want to get to the demo. Okay, so we'll start with the cons. Con number one, it's expensive. Okay, right now I think it's $30 a month. If you use it monthly, and then it's $295 annually. So if you compare it to some of the other services out there, platforms out there right now, which I will talk about in a little bit. But if you compare it to some of those platforms, you're going to be like, oh, that's way pricey. The question that you've got to be asking yourself is it worth it? Really? Is it worth $30? If it's worth $30 a month, is it worth $295 a year? And I would say the answer to that is yes and no. Okay. So yes, if you're a full-time writer, right? If you're a full-time writer, or you're you're writing as your second job and you are kicking out 4 novels a year, and you need them to be really clean and you find value in this tool, then I would say in that case, yes, it is absolutely 100% worth it. I would say the instance in when I would not find it valuable is if you only write 1 novel a year. If you only write 1 novel a year, I would say that's probably not the best way to spend your money. There were times when I was writing at a much faster pace, right? There was one year where I wrote 4 books in 1 year, even with my full-time job. I was like killing myself, right? with writing and stuff. So, was I getting my use out of that tool then? Absolutely. I mean, I was kicking out books pretty quickly. But now, I'm probably doing about 2 books a year, in addition to working my full-time job, because I work a crazy job. You guys know my crazy job. So, today, would I use AutoCrit, knowing what I know about AutoCrit? Personally, I probably would. For me, I would probably just go ahead and get that annual membership. Because I know what the tool does for me and how good the tool is, I don't know that I could write without AutoCrit right now. I don't. And I have tried other tools, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Number 2 con, okay? So the second con, I would say, is that you've got to get in your mind, this is not Grammarly, right? It is not going to be prompting you with options of things to choose instead of what you have, okay? You have to do the work, okay? AutoCrit does not do the work for you. It makes you do the work. And it finds things that Grammarly will absolutely not. You've got to do the work, okay? And you've kind of got to know enough about writing to know where to find the answers. You got to know, okay? That's one of the things I always preach about being writers. It's just like, if you don't have to know everything, but you have to have done enough research to know where you can find stuff, the answers that you need. Okay? And if you don't know it, you gotta ask somebody. Okay? Maybe one day I'll do an episode on all my reference books. so that you guys know what I use for reference books that I can go to when I need to find stuff. That's it for the cons. Let's get to the pros. Why I love AutoCrit. Pro number one. It is so easy to use. You're going to see in the demo in a couple minutes that it doesn't get much easier than putting your text in there, pressing, clicking on a function and letting it do its magic. That's it. I mean, it is literally a couple of clicks and you've got the magic going. Now, does it fix everything for you? No. But it is very easy to do the analysis. Very easy, very fast. It happens within a few seconds to a minute maybe, but not much more than that. If you're trying to analyze a full manuscript, it might take a couple of minutes, but it happens pretty quickly. Okay. Pro number two. The fact that it does not recommend the changes for you is a pro for me. Again, because it makes me active in my work and it saves my voice. That's the thing. There is no tool that's going to do automatic analysis of your manuscript or your work or your paper that is going to be able to retain your voice. It is just looking for patterns. It's going to find the patterns and it's going to color code the patterns so that you can see it easily. So you can do focused editing on those patterns. And it may be a pattern you want to keep. It may be a pattern you want to toss, but you have the option to do that. Pro number three. For me, one of the best things about the tool is the color coding, right? I love the color coding. Again, depending on what function that you run, it's going to color code everything to you. It makes it pop. And you can work inside the tool or you can print it out with the color codes. Now, I have two laser printers. I have one color and one black and white. I can print out, if I want to kill some trees, which we try not to do these days. But of course, we know I have moved away from the tree killing. So here's the tip, right? If you use AutoCrit and you print out the color coding, that you're going to have to use something like an iPad in order to use like a digital notebook. If you try to use anything like Remarkable or like the books or even the Moby Scribe or anything like that, it's only in black and white. You need the color to see the color coding. So you're going to have to use, this is one of those times when the iPad is king, because there's not really another tool out there that you can use, that you can buy, a digital paper tool that you can buy where you can see color. The iPad's pretty much it. So, that's a word to the wise there. That if you do want to use this tool and you do want to be environmentally friendly, then you're probably going to have to make your edits right inside the tool. Those are pretty much the pros, okay? That's it. It's very easy to use, that it allows you to retain your voice, and that it is color-coded to make it very focused, easy, and fast to find what patterns you're working on and what changes you need to make. I know I've told you guys that there's AutoCrit out there, but there are other cheaper platforms out there. And one of them is called Pro Writing Aid. All right. I know a lot of my author friends use Pro Writing Aid. And I have to tell you, I subscribe to Pro Writing Aid for a period of time. And so here's my experience with Pro Writing Aid, right? It's a great tool. I would never discourage anyone from getting it. It is a cheaper tool and it is a good tool, okay? For my purposes, I noticed that AutoCrit found a lot more detailed issues or identified things that applied to my writing than Pro Writing Aid. For me, it was more thorough in terms of finding the things that are in my writing. Okay. Now, I can't say that's going to be true for everybody, right? But for me, the difference was so significant that I let my membership in with the Pro Writing Aid lapse, and I kept AutoCrit. Now, is that going to be the same for everybody? No, you kind of have to know your writing, know your kind of writing style, know the issues that you have to deal with, and know which tool is best at finding those things. Okay. But for me in my house, AutoCrit was the better tool. And so that's why I stuck with AutoCrit. So, but if you can't, if it's too expensive, Pro Writing Aid is considerably cheaper. Okay. I want to say you can get a lifetime membership of Pro Writing Aid for what you pay for 1 year of membership on AutoCrit. It's cheaper. But again, it's one of those things where you have to decide for yourself. And the only way to do that, I think, is really, take advantage of free trials and process your work through both and see, what you come up with. And you may find that the Pro Writing tool works better for you. But for me, it's AutoCrit. That's going to be it for the cons and the pros. Now it's time for the demos. So stay tuned. The demo is coming up next. And I promise you're going to love this tool.